in the cab, here I am for the first time. Look to my right and I see the Hollywood sign. This is all so crazy, everybody seems so famous. My tummy's turning.
Hey, what's up guys, it is Secure Sam here and welcome back to the channel, and today I'm really excited to bring you guys a brand new video series where we're going to be having open discussions over games and how they become so successful. And the point of this series is the fact that we're not only going to make a review of the game like normal people do, we're also going to include a developer insight on how you could actually implement these features that made the game successful in the first place into your own indie games. And in this video we're going to specifically focus at The Last of Us, so if you enjoyed the video guys, don't forget to drop a like down below and also hit the subscribe button if you want to stay up to tune for new videos coming soon. And also don't forget to let us know in the comments what you think of this video series, and also if you have any feedback on what I should include. And with that being said guys, let's get right into the video. So first and foremost, a very quick short little introduction of the game. What is The Last of Us? It's a third-person action-adventure survival horror game developed by Naughty Dog. The game quickly became one of the most remarkable games throughout the PlayStation history, called by many a essential game to pick up for the PlayStation. The game also has finally a sequel under development as we speak, which I'm really waiting for, and it will be released on the PlayStation 4 even though we don't really have a release date right now. And the sequel is also one of the most anticipated games right now, and the fans are going mad nuts about the release. But the point is, why did this game become so successful? What is it that made this game so remarkable? And I believe that we're just going to begin with the basics. First and foremost, the game has got incredible visuals. I mean, for the date of release that the game had, the first actual The Last of Us game had, it was incredible, and it's still one of the best graphics that I've ever seen on a console game so far. And the game also plays very smoothly on a PlayStation 3, which was the original console that The Last of Us got released for. And then there's also a The Last of Us remastered, which is not the sequel, it's just a remastered version which has a little bit better graphics and is more suitable with a PlayStation 4. But anyway, like even on a PlayStation 3 the game was running perfectly fine, and I didn't really see any people complaining about the FPS frame rate or anything like that, even though the graphics were so amazing. And then obviously one of the most remarkable points about The Last of Us to be made, it has one of the best level designs I've seen so far in any kind of game. From the indoor scenes to the outdoor scenes to the subway scenes, I mean they're just incredibly good. Naughty Dog really nailed the level design for this game. And for Uncharted, like Uncharted is also a game developed by Naughty Dog, and they have nailed the level design for that game as well. But with the fact that The Last of Us is a post-apocalyptic game, a survival game, I really did not expect them to nail it so well. And with level design, I'm not only talking about the fact that the level designing is glorious in terms of how beautiful it is, which it really is, but it's also because of the level design being so compatible and fitting to the gameplay and the scenarios that the characters are living through, and really well fitting to every kind of event that is taking place in the game. Speaking of events, we also have to talk about the voice actors, like literally Troy Baker, Ashley Johnson, Hannah Hayes. I mean literally everyone made a incredibly good job by the voice acting. The voice acting was insane. The voice acting was one of the biggest factors that actually made this game rise up in the charts, because the voice acting really felt just so natural. It wasn't all over the place. It wasn't like, alright guys, we're gonna focus on the voice acting, you have to do a good job. It was just like all the voice actors were just being themselves with consideration of the characters that they were playing, which was incredible because it really felt natural because of that fact. Personally, I also really thought that the voices of the voice actors were actually really well fitting with the characters, given their situation and their personalities. There are also so many more points to talk about in terms of the game design, level designing, character design, and animations and every kind of other stuff. But I want to get into the developer insight because that's the main primary point of this video. And to be completely honest with you guys, the naturality of the conversations between especially Ellie and Joel won't be found in all games, and that's mainly because the voice actors had good times with each other before all the recordings and the performance shootings to make everything even more natural, which is a fact because there are so many videos on YouTube that are describing what they were doing before, like having a coffee and whatever, and they were just hanging out, like having some fun. And this obviously creates a natural aura between these two people, which also follows within them when they actually get into character. So my suggestion is, if you're working as a team and you have your own voice actors, don't think of your project as just a normal project. Like, don't force your voice actors to get into it and be like, all right, we're gonna act now. Let them have some fun. Like, let them have some time with each other so that they can create this natural aura between themselves. If you're having like a performance shoot, that's gonna be very important. If you're gonna have like a together session being recorded where these two people are talking to each other in a cinematic scene or whatever, this is going to be very important because you need this naturality to be in your scene, in this room that they are also going to be recording in, or else it's just going to be it's going to feel very plastic and not very robotic, I would say. Because obviously your game is a serious project. We all know that, right? We all acknowledge that fact. But you still should have some fun with your actors, with your voice actors or whatever, with your design team, literally everyone inside of your cast, your team, your management, whatever you can think of, for them to actually enjoy their work. Because when you actually listen to a conversation between Ellie and Joel in the Last of Us game, you really feel like it's just two friends almost talking to each other, and they're really giving off the impression that they are actually in this situation where the world is pretty much going under and they really have to they just have each other to survive. And that's why they're building this conversation with each other, or this relation with each other, in order to actually be able to survive in this world. And the game is also very heavily focusing on the conversation between these two characters, because not only because they are the main characters, but also because the game really is focusing on the conversation, or else they would just have Joel or Ellie, which is surviving as a solo person in the game, which would have worked out, but they obviously have two people so that they can actually have a conversation between them. And that's why it's so important to have a natural conversation between these two people, or else it's just going to be feeling robotic. I was also replaying the game and watching a little bit of videos on YouTube too, like PewDiePie playing the game. I really like those video series. And I realized something immediately as soon as I started watching it with a level designer eye, I guess I can call that. It really sounds cringy, but you'll understand what I say. But when I was watching the video, I was like, the vegetation is not really sticking out. They just have the colors quite washed out to have them fit with the rest of the environment. I realized that from my own experience when I'm making my own level designs, I quite often focus on the vegetation in a term where I basically had the colors very exaggerated, or not very exaggerated, but at some point exaggerated to make sure that they stick out in the environment. Even though The Last of Us the designers didn't really focus on making the vegetation stick out, they just had the colors quite washed out to have them fit with the rest of the environment, which looked amazing, honestly. At first I felt like I was watching just a grayscale, but at the same time I felt like it feels so natural. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's extremely exaggerated, it just feels natural. And that's the main factor to why it's so pleasing to the eye when you're playing the game. Seeing the level design does not hurt your eyes, it just feels so good to your eyes because it's so minimalistic, but at the same time it feels so natural and so well done. They've made an incredible combo, an incredible mix to the game, which really is a big factor to why the game is so successful in terms of visual quality, in terms of level designing, but also with the fact that it's so just generally an incredible game. Speaking of design, we also had to get into a little bit of the sound design for the game. Like, the clickers were so well made, and the clickers are just a part of my point here that I'm trying to make. But what I'm trying to say is the fact that the sound designers really focus heavily on the clickers, especially in a very remarkable scene, which is probably, you'll remember this if you play the game, but when you enter the subway in the game and it's filled with clickers and you just hear this echoing clicker sound everywhere in the place. And if you have a good pair of headset, you're gonna hear the turning or the rotating voice or the rotating sound, and it feels incredible. I still remember the first time how much it creeped me out, and now, like, when I was playing the game still, I was so damn creeped out. Like, it's just way too creepy for you to be like, whatever. And that's why I'm calling it a good sound design, because it makes you creep out even though you play the game a few times or a couple of times or whatever, even your first time, because it just feels naturally creepy, since the sounds aren't over exaggerated monster sounds, which are like, alright, this is going to be a jump scare, because no one is jump scaring you in the game. They just focus on the sound to make sure that you're hearing it all around, like the surround sound. and then you just hear it all over the place and you're like, I had to get out of here. Speaking of which, this is also a very big suggestion of mine whenever I talk to people that are creating horror games and they're just making the cliche mistake where they have jump scares all over the place. And it's like, alright, you're probably gonna get to scare me because obviously I am a little bit scared of jump scares, but who really cares about jump scares? Like we're almost in 2018, holy shit. And it's like, alright, you have a jump scare, I got scared, alright, congratulations, you probably win this game or whatever. But it's like, do you really want to just focus on jump scares and be like, alright, I'm gonna scare these people a little bit and then probably just they're not gonna have to play the game again because they're not gonna like the game? Or do you want to be like, alright, I'm gonna create the most creepy sound effect and the most creepy environment ever, so that the people are going to actually enjoy playing it over and over again because they're gonna feel creeped out every single time. And that's how you create a horror game. And if you don't believe me, just look at and play The Last of Us. It's just an incredibly well-made game with consideration to sound design. And we obviously had to get a little bit into the character animations that were extremely smooth because of the performance captures, which is a factor that I also took a little bit up earlier in the video, but we didn't really get to talk about the performance captures. Performance capture is basically this system where you create animations for your games by simply capturing the performance of your actors. And that literally means instead of sitting down and either purchasing animations that are made by performance capture or by editing the frames by yourself in a animation software, you're pretty much just creating the most natural and human animation because you're using your body to create it. I would almost say that if you're creating a serious game, a performance capture is pretty much a necessity. Even though it's a little bit expensive, like the equipment is going to be, not just a little bit, it's going to be expensive, depending obviously on the quality you're expecting from it. But if you have like basic equipment, it shouldn't be that expensive. And at the same time, you should feel like you're investing into your game because obviously it's a investment not only for your specific project or your specific game, but also for your game development business in general. We also talked about the naturality between the trees or vegetations and the environment. And I also want to talk about the naturality when it actually comes to post-processing effects. But because I've seen a lot of indie developers that are making the mistake of over-exaggerating the image effects and post-processing effects as they use the game engines. Meanwhile, The Last of Us had image effects as minimalistic as possible, then just focus on the entire environment instead. And that resulted in the game looking very natural. And when you actually combine that with the naturality of the conversation between all these characters, especially the main characters, you really get a well-polished game in your hands. So when you're making your game, just try not to get lost in post-processing effects because it's very easy. Like I'm speaking from my own experience as a developer as well. Like I'm walking in your shoes right now. And post-processing, when you're playing with the effects, the image effects, it's very easy to get lost in them and just feel like you're just getting better and better, even though your scene is looking more and more unrealistic. And that's mainly because your eyes get used to the post-processing that you just updated recently. And if you're spending like half an hour, even an hour, or maybe less, maybe more, to the image effects, your eyes are gonna have a very easy time of getting used to the post-processing effects that you're also having as by default right now. So when you're editing, it's just going to feel like, alright, it's getting better because I'm getting more effect from the post-processing, but then you're gonna realize your game is not as good as optimized as it used to be. And also the image effects do not look natural or realistic anymore. They just look so plastic. And that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this first episode of the new series that I'm starting. I'm not really sure how many videos of this series that I want to make per week, but if you have any specific amount in your mind, let me know in the comments. I'm all ears when you come at me with your suggestions and feedback and all these comments. And with that being said, drop a like down below if you enjoyed the video, guys. It really shows some support on the video and on my channel as well. And also hit the subscribe button if you want to stay up to date for new videos coming soon. And there are going to be a lot of level designs. I know I haven't been able to make any level designs yet. I'm so sorry for that. But I will be making them, don't worry. Especially this weekend, I'm gonna try my best to actually focus on level designing because I really see that a lot of people do want them, especially on Twitter, which I'm really appreciative over. And like I said, subscribe if you want to stay up to date for new speed level designs, tutorial videos, commentary videos, and more of these episodes. And once again, hit us up in the comments if you have any feedback on this video or if you have any other suggestions that you would like to share with the community regarding this video or anything else. And with that being said, once again, thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the comments. See you guys. Peace out. Bye bye.